An all-male election during this pandemic. Thank you for joining us at 11. I'm Brian Loftus.
And I'm Denise Valdez. The unprecedented times that we're living in has made this election like no other in Nevada. We are following key races tonight, including primaries in the congressional seats and county commission seats. Now, the election polling place is closed at 7, but some people just finished voting. Let's check in with Vanessa Murphy, who is live from the county's election headquarters in North Las Vegas.
Denise and Brian, some voters have been waiting 5 to 6 hours at this location. As you mentioned, you needed to be in line by 7 p.m., but take a look at this. 11 p.m., there is still a long line, and you know what? This is just part of it tonight. Now, here's video from earlier this afternoon. This is only part of the line outside of the building. You see people waiting in the hot sun. Then inside, it wrapped around several times, and it continued. Some voters tell us they did not receive a ballot in the mail. Some may have recently moved. Others tell us they misplaced their ballot. We talked with a voter toward the front of the line earlier. She says it took her about 4 hours to get there.
Why do it? Why still wait?
Because it's time for a change. We need a change, and I'm here to make sure that this change is happening.
As we mentioned, this primary was ballot by mail due to COVID-19, and Clark County took measures at this location also, with plexiglass at the desks, election workers wearing face coverings, and some voters choosing to wear masks. I asked the Clark County registrar, who's in charge here, if anything could have been done better as far as planning, considering these long lines. He says with the resources Clark County had, they did the best they could. He also addressed claims of voter fraud.
The allegations are out there. However, we still verify each ballot that comes in the same way we would if they were voting in person, and that's with the voter's signature. So we verify that signature in the system, and if it matches, that ballot gets processed. However, if it does not, we require that voter to provide an ID and an oath to state that that ballot is theirs. And we're statutorily required to notify them if their signature doesn't match or if they don't sign the ballot.
We've also learned there were some computer issues early this morning here in Clark County. A spokesman says they were fixed by 8 a.m. My guess, and I'm just guessing here, they are going to be here at least another hour. And you have to mention the election workers. They tell me they've been here since 5:30 this morning, and they will be here much longer tonight. Reporting live, Vanessa Murphy, 8 News Now.
If coffee was ever needed, it's there. Thank you, Vanessa. One of the 3 in-person locations is in the Southwest Valley. Sasha Loft is at the drop-off location at Desert Breeze Community Center at Spring Mountain and Cimarron. Hi, Sasha.
Good evening, Brian. Things are finally winding down here at this location. We saw a couple election workers start to close the doors and leave for the night. They've been here since 6 in the morning, and it's now 11 o'clock, and they're finally winding down their day. Now, it was insanely crowded here earlier, lines wrapped around the building. I talked to quite a few voters and asked them why they were choosing to vote in person, and they say they just really don't trust the mail-in process in general. Now, inside this building, this location had around 20 of these partitions you see here, where people came in and filled out their paper ballot privately. Election workers then came through and sanitized the areas after each person left. We spoke with a lot of people who were standing in line today for hours. And while some say they're glad to see such a big turnout, many were frustrated they had to wait so long.
I've never waited this long before. I've always been able to come in and out on the day of voting, so it really makes me wonder if this is a voter suppression type of tactic.
You definitely need to promote like the early voting for in person. You definitely have to have more polling places.
Get out and vote.
Yes.
But more importantly, please get it together so we don't have lines like this here in this sweltering heat in Las Vegas, Nevada.
It's important that you see people out here really standing for what they believe in.
Now, you heard one of those voters mention a lack of in-person polling places for today's primary. That was one of the main complaints we heard. Now, others said they never received their mail-in ballot, so they had to come and vote here in person instead. Now, all of these lines and these issues we mentioned were related to people who voted in person today. Those who came and dropped off their ballots that were already filled out, those we spoke with in those situations said it was a pretty easy, quick process and they didn't really see any issues. For now, reporting live, Sasha Loftus, 8 News Now.
All right, so we have checked in now with 2 of the 3 in-person voting locations across the valley tonight. Orko Manna is live at the Paradise Recreation Center, which is near McLeod and Tropicana, with what's going on there. Orko?
Well, Denise, some people at this voting location told us they waited 5 hours to cast their vote. And at this hour, you can see that there's still a line out the door. Polls have been closed now for more than 4 hours. Again, this line out the door, some people deciding to bring camping chairs to sit as they wait. And these people are frustrated. Now, earlier this evening, the line of voters wrapped around the side of the Paradise Recreation Center and through the neighboring park. People were trying to stay in the shade to keep cool. And we even saw election workers handing out bottled water and snacks. Inside, many voters told us it was a very slow process. One side of the room was for voting, but they first needed to register on the other side of the room if they hadn't already, which definitely added to the wait times. Despite the physical distancing inside the voting location, many say waiting in the long lines kind of defeated the purpose.
I think they should have had more stations for people to vote like they have in the past, especially if they wanted to eliminate, people being all in huge crowds.
I thought maybe 1 hour most. I would never have even came out, to be honest, if I knew it would be 5 hours, and I saw a lot of people just leaving and giving up halfway through. It was really demoralizing.
At least part of the slowdown was because election workers had to thoroughly wipe down each area inside the voting location after each person cast their ballot. That's due to coronavirus concerns. Again, voters telling us that they were very frustrated by the long lines and wait times, but many said that they decided to stay in line because they either did not have their ballot mailed to them or they misplaced it, and they wanted to make sure their voices were heard in this election. Reporting live in Las Vegas tonight, Orko Manna, 8 News Now.
Yeah, a lot of people registering tonight, too, as well, Orko.